Good morning. Here I am back at the youth camp in the Mount Sinai Holiness Tabernacle in Midland City, Alabama. We're having a wonderful time. The preaching has been amazing, and I have felt Jesus here. In fact, I felt like I saw him here. So I've really been blessed, and so I'm going to teach this lesson from here in the camper where I'm staying. I'm starting in chapter 11 in Genesis and going to start back in 26. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son's Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came into Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. There's several different things to mention in this portion of Scripture right here at the end of chapter 11. The most wonderful thing to mention was Abram, because we find out that he was a very special man that was born to his father Terah. But he had two brothers. He had Nahor and Haran died while they were still in Ur of the Chaldees. And Haran was Lot's daddy. So we find out that Abram and Nahor, they were the brothers that were left, and Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. So it looks like Haran's daughter Milcah married his brother Nahor. So at that time, and we're going to realize this, that for the world to be repopulated by 8 people, there were people that intermarried in their families. It wasn't the same as it is today. Later on we read that Sarai was really Abram's half-sister. And now read about Nahor, he married Milcah, which was Haran's daughter. So it is what we would call incest in our time, but back then it was not abnormal, because that's the way the world got repopulated. And it says, but Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. So the land of Canaan, of course, is the Holy Land. It's Israel now. And Canaan was the man that settled it. You remember, Canaan was the man that was cursed by Noah. Ham's son Canaan was cursed by Noah, and he was the one that settled in the Holy Land to begin with. And we read about all the different people that came from the people of Ham, and including the Philistines. So as we read through this, we find out that they were in Ur of the Chaldees, which you look over in the map, and is over there in the land of Shinar, between the Tigris and the Euphrates, although it's not between the Tigris and the Euphrates. I think it's right about at the joining of the Tigris and the Euphrates, where they join down, going to that body of water. Let me look there. See, I've got a map right here. I want to look at where Ur of the Chaldees is, if it happens to have a map here with it. I don't have all my atlas and all of that here, but I'm looking. Okay, here we go. All right, down here is Babylon. Ur was on farther south of Babylon, where after the Tigris and Euphrates joined together. And I read that another river came up from down south, and it seemed like it might have joined where the Tigris and Euphrates joined right there at Ur. But Ur of the Chaldees, that's the first time we've heard about Chaldees in the Bible. And of course we learn about the Chaldeans and Nebuchadnezzar and all of them that were in Babylon. And we've already learned that Babel was where they built the Tower of Babel, and I believe that became Babylon. So all of this is leading up to more things that we're going to learn about in the Bible. And it's good to have this foundation of Genesis. And the more you read Genesis, the more understanding you have of what happened later, because Genesis just gives us the foundation of everything. And so they came from Ur of the Chaldees, and we know that they didn't know God. Well, did anybody know God then? I don't know, because I know that Noah did, and Shem, Ham, and Japheth did. But as the generations came down, we don't know. We don't know who served the Lord and who didn't. But we're going to find out that God wasn't content for the human race to worship idols and to worship false gods. Ur of the Chaldees, I believe, was full of false gods. But let's look at what happened in chapter 12 now. And the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. Now look at that. That's past tense. The Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country. So perhaps Terah moved from Ur of the Chaldees because Abram said, God has told me to go away from this place. And Terah and Haran, not Haran because Haran died in Ur of the Chaldees, but Terah and Nahor and Abram and their wives, they came unto a place called Haran. So perhaps they named it that because in honor of the other son that died. I don't know. But where they lived in Haran was closer. It was still in the Fertile Crescent, but it was closer over to Canaan land, closer over to the Holy Land that Abram was going to have. So the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of the country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. So Terah and all the family moved to Haran, and now Abram knew he wasn't supposed to stay there with all of his father's house. He knew that God was going to show him a land. And he said, And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Now, we don't hear about God talking to anybody since, let's go back to the time he's talked to somebody. Don't you think it was Noah? Let's look. It was Noah. And Noah and Abram, did they overlap? Noah lived after the flood 350 years. And we could figure that up. And I didn't. I should have. But we could figure that up and find that probably Noah was dead. But even Shem, he lived after he begat Arphaxad, he lived 500. Let's see. Let me see how long Shem lived. He was 100 years old and he lived 500 years after that. So Shem was 600 years old, but he lived 500 years after the flood. So he probably could have been alive when Abram came. I hadn't figured that out, but I'll have to figure it out and come back and tell you if Shem was still alive. But the one that had heard from God was Noah, that we know heard from God. And we go on down and we really don't know who knew God from then on, who really knew him. But God talked to Abram, and Abram knew God. He said, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. You're going to be a blessing. Is Abram a blessing to you? He is to me. Just knowing that God was talking to one of the people on the earth, besides way back to Noah's day, that God was becoming a friend to somebody, some man on earth, is a blessing, isn't it? It is to me. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and then in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. All families. I'm here at this youth camp, and there are many families here, people I've never met before. I'm enjoying getting to know some of them, but all these families are blessed because of Abraham, aren't they? Or Abram, or at this time he was called Abram. All these families are blessed because of the relationship between Abram and God. Verse 4, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Guess who else is 75? Me. Imagine me being spoken to by God and saying, go to a new land. Go somewhere where your family is not. And, everybody thinks of me as old. I'm getting old, But if God did speak to me and said, go, I will. If he does speak to me and say, go, I will. Because I'm one of his. And it doesn't matter how old you are, he can start you afresh, can he? And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. Into the land of Canaan they came. Wonderful that God chose a land. He chose a man to speak to, and he chose a land to have for his people. God is the chooser. Jesus said this. He said, ye have not chosen me, but I've chosen you, and ordained you that you should go forth and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain. So when God chooses you, you're blessed. He said, many are called, but few are chosen. I've been called, and when I answered the call, that's when I got chosen. And that's what it is about all of us. God calls people, but don't all of them ever listen and come and say, "Here am I, Lord, send me." No. But it's when they say, "Here am I, Lord, send me," that you become chosen. Yes. He knew that Paul was a chosen vessel. He knew. He told Ananias, go lay hands on him and pray for him that he can receive his sight and receive the Holy Ghost. For he is a chosen vessel. He was chosen. How? He was chosen when he said, "Who art thou, Lord? I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom thou persecutest." It's hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And Saul said, "What wilt thou have me to do?" See? He became chosen because he was willing. If you're willing, you've always wondered, well, how can I be chosen? Get willing. Get willing to do whatever the Lord wants you to do, and you will be chosen. So I'm going to stop right there because it's a new paragraph, and we'll start back tomorrow in chapter 12 and verse 6. Thank God for this book of Genesis. Some of you have expressed your gladness that we're studying Genesis, and I'm also glad. See you tomorrow, Lord willing.